I've got a really cool agent to show you that you can use in a number of different ways. I've used it myself for quite a while now, and I'm really loving it. It's going to create different visuals like images, diagrams, things like that based off of your data. I'm using this quite a bit to help with documentation, adding a little bit more visual elements to it to visualize the thing that I'm describing. Usually it's like an agent that I'm describing. It's really cool, and it's going to show you a way to do things that most everyone I talk to say that you need Copilot Studio to do. But we're not doing it in Studio. You don't need to even bother with that. This is an ultra simple declarative agent. Let's get into it. So I'm here in SharePoint, and I'm in the IT site, and I've got a document for an Azure DevOps agent. It's a fictitious agent. I'm not actually building this, but it's an architecture overview. It talks about the features that this thing has, but it's kind of boring. It's this just text, and we can make this a whole lot better and faster to consume by putting in some diagrams. So I'm going to close this out, and we're going to switch over to Teams, where I'm inside the M365 Copilot app. What we're going to do here is click on the Create Agent button. This is going to take us into Copilot Studio Lite so that we can build out this really powerful yet really simple agent. Let's give it a good name. Let's call this My Image Agent. And we can give it a description. This is going to be useful probably later on down the road, but we have to put in something. So this agent creates visuals based on document data. Now for the instructions. So this is going to do something that you might have tried before, but chances are you haven't thought of using an agent this way, at least using agent instructions this way. So let's start typing in here. We're going to be using Markdown. There we go. Had to find the right character. We're going to be using Markdown so that we can separate the agent's instructions into different sections. So your job is to help with adding visuals to documentation. Actually, we will probably ought to say creating visuals for documentation. And I've got a misspell here. There we go. So the first thing we're doing is telling the agent what its job is. It's one of the most important things you need to put in your agent, because otherwise it has no idea why it exists, what its actual purpose is. So this is starting to set up those guardrails so the agent does what we want it to do. Now, this is going to be creating images for us. So let's make a section that kind of describes how this image generation process is going to work. And then I'm going to copy and paste this instruction in here, and then we'll walk through it. So the first one says, if a specific document is referenced, make sure you have located it and verify with the user if that's the right document before doing anything else. So we want to make sure that if I say, if I'm going to reference a particular document, make sure this thing finds it before it actually just generates some generic image of what it thinks we want. We need this to be catered to our documents. Then the next instruction says, you will ask for clarification from the user before generating to make sure you understand if there are any specific colors that could be used and anything else you feel would help you succeed in your job. So we're making sure the agent is going to verify things like if there's certain colors we want to use, like certain hex codes that relate to corporate branding or anything, we want to make sure we incorporate that. Maybe this is a product is product documentation, and that product has a specific color scheme. We want to make sure all of that can be captured by the agent and it does what we need it to do. Now, think about, well, what else might help this out? Maybe it'll ask about fonts, if there's a font we want used, anything like that. That's why the second part of that is there to tell the agent, hey, don't just like do exactly what I'm saying verbatim and then nothing else. Think for yourself just a little bit, and maybe you can come up with ideas to help me, the user, get the impact that I'm looking to make in my documentation. And the last one is, as part of your response, you will state the color codes and hex of the colors you use in the image. That I like to see that just to make sure that if I tell it to use a particular color, I know which hex code that it used, so I can just double check that's the correct one. Or maybe you like that color and you just want to like capture that and maybe save that for future use. Now we have our instructions set. Now we're going to be moving on to our knowledge. Now, the way that Copilot Studio and pretty much every Copilot agent will work or should work is that it's going to be using the knowledge you already have access to. So if I don't have access to a file, this agent isn't going to find that. It's a critical piece that should be in place for all agents so that someone doesn't get access to files they shouldn't be seeing. It's all about protecting your data. We'll get right back to the video, but real quick, Copilot is really great for working with your data, but how are you protecting that data? If you don't have a backup and recovery strategy, here's your wake-up call. Think your cloud data is safe just because it's in Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace? Think again. Accidental deletions, ransomware, and compliance gaps can still put your business at risk. AFI is a next-gen backup and recovery platform built for modern cloud environments, including Microsoft 365, Google Workspace, Azure, AWS, and Kubernetes. It offers full fidelity restores, encrypted full-text search, version history, and even self-service recovery, so users can get back data without waiting on IT. And when ransomware hits, AFI detects it early and automatically backs up your data before damage is done. Over 10,000 organizations trust AFI to protect their cloud data. If you care about uptime, compliance, and peace of mind, it's time to back up smarter with AFI. Now, in this case, all of my data is going to be in SharePoint because SharePoint is the #1 cited source for all Copilot-related answers. No, it's no surprise, right? Because SharePoint is kind of the backbone of everything we do in the Microsoft 365 world. So what I could do, I could put the URL of that IT site in here. I can grab this and come over here and probably chop off the library name, and I could just pick the entire site, but that limits this to just this one site. Maybe that is good for you. Maybe this is very, very specific for a use case you have. What I want to do is I want to make this a little bit more generic. It does mean that I'll have to be a bit more specific, or the agent will have to get lucky if it's trying to find the file I want. But what I can do is I can click on, if we just get rid of this, I can click on My SharePoint Files, Folders, and Sites. So this will automatically just bring in anything from SharePoint that I have access to. So this makes this a bit more broad of an agent, just a little bit in terms of the knowledge source, but it also means anyone else who uses it, it will kind of be custom tailored to their access as well. So we don't have to do anything else. We'll see that knowledge source got added down here. We don't need to turn on any of these other things because we're not using Copilot connectors. By the way, if you want to see some Copilot connector videos, let me know down in the comments below. But the other thing we've got to be able to turn on is the skill of creating images. We can't do that with SharePoint agents, but we can do that here in Copilot Studio Lite. We can just click this toggle, and now the image creation feature is enabled. All we have to do, we can actually start testing it right here. But I want to save this. I'm going to hit create. Now this is going to be saving it on the back end in a Cosmos DB because in case you didn't know, this isn't stored in like Power Platform where Copilot Studio agents are actually stored, because this isn't really has nothing to do with Copilot Studio at all. They call it Copilot Studio Lite. Before this, they called it Copilot Studio Agent Builder. Both were terrible names because it has nothing to do with Copilot Studio. But I guess Microsoft's going to do whatever they want to do, right? Now this is created. Let's click on Go to Agent. This is going to take me straight into the chat experience for my brand new agent. And what I want to do is ask it about let's get this to create an image for us. But first, if you're getting value out of this, then click that like button. And if you have learned one new thing so far, then consider subscribing. It's just an easy, free way that you could support me so I can continue to make videos just like this one. Now, let's check out our prompt. Create a diagram for my ADO agent documentation. So I'm referencing the name of that file. We can go back here and double check. The file name is ADO agent. So it should have no problems finding this between the file name and probably the content inside there. It would understand ADO agent and it should be able to figure out this file. But we're going to start with just a really simple prompt and see what it will do. So based on our instructions, it should be going out to locate that file, and then it starts to proceed down the rest. Okay, and it says, great, I've located your ADO agent documentation. We can click on this, and we could open this up, but we can hover over that link and see, yes, this is the right file. It's in the app dev library. So it's reviewed its architecture so it can design an accurate diagram. So now it's going to start clarifying things. It's giving me a summary of what's inside that document so that it understands the document, and it wants my verification that yes, that is the correct interpretation or the meaning of the content in that document. And then it says one quick question before I generate the image. What visual style and colors would you like for the diagram? Remember, we told it to ask for the color, but we also said in any other thing that you feel might help you succeed in this job. This is where that part is coming into play. So it's giving us some different options, including some different color schemes. But what's really cool is it's not just saying, which color do you want? Which color hex code do you want? It's thinking beyond that and coming up with neat color schemes to make sure that this looks really good, not just a blue image or a green diagram or a red chart. It's giving it some more color and more I guess that's the wrong word. It's giving it some more character. There we go. So I like the Microsoft Fluent style. So I'm just going to copy this and definitely going to paste this down, but we want to see what else it's asking for. So I'll just end that sentence and we'll look through. Yeah, there's your custom brand colors. Now, if we had a brand color set up inside the Copilot app, it should be able to pick that up. But I don't have that in there. And if you want to know how to set up that brand image, because it's not the same as the SharePoint Brand Center, if you want to learn about that, just let me know in the comments below, and I will get that video scheduled to go out very, very soon. And then it's asking some other questions. Do you want me to include any of the following? Swim lanes, data flow, arrows, icons. I like the icons idea. Include that. So now we're adding icons in here as well. And what else should we do? Let's, I want to make sure that this is like an architecture diagram. Make the diagram an architecture diagram. And I can't spell today, so I'll mess this up, I think. Okay, nope, spell check's not even going to help. It's that bad. There we go, architecture diagram. Okay, so now we're telling it we want the clean Microsoft Fluent style, include icons, and make this an architecture diagram. So now we're going to let this go, and it's going to create this image. Now, image generation takes a little bit of time, so I'm just going to fast forward to when this image is complete and ready to go. But while we're waiting, if you want to get up to speed really, really quickly, as fast as you possibly can on Copilot Studio Lite and how to build these types of agents, then I've got a quick start course that is perfect for you. It skips all of the fluff, and it just jumps straight into how you build this, what all of these different options mean, and gets you to your first agent quickly. And our image is generated. We can click on this. And another cool feature of Copilot Studio Lite agents and just the Copilot experience is it takes us into Designer, and we can actually do stuff. We can edit things right in here. But I know based on the documentation that I wrote that this agent is designed to pull data from SharePoint, read and write data to Azure DevOps to handle things like work items, and also send out email notifications for things. So we see all of that right here. We see the agent core. It's using the M365 Agents SDK. Yep, that is correct based on my documentation, because this was designed to be a pro code agent, not a no code or low code. So this would be written with like TypeScript or Python or something like that, and leveraging a lot more heavy duty type tooling than what we can do with low code and no code. And we see all of that stuff in here. We see the notification workflow, and it looks really good. Typically, we were used to seeing a lot of misspelled words in the images that were created and things like that, but it looks like it got all of the words correctly. We've got the SharePoint logo. We've got some cool, we've got the Azure DevOps logo in there as well, right over here. We've got the an envelope icon. It looks really good. It looks nice and polished. It means I didn't have to go into PowerPoint and just fumble around with the interface to try and get something created. This thing literally just did it for me. I didn't even have to be creative, which worked perfectly for me because I'm not that much of a creative person. Let's close this and see what else. So it's given us a summary of all those, and then remember that third line in our instructions that dealt with image generation. We told it we want the hex codes. Here's all of the different colors it used and the hex codes. So if I wanted to maybe tweak some of this, I could iterate with this agent and maybe tell it to use a different hex code. But honestly, I love the way this image looks. I'm going to go drop this in my Word document. So I'm going to go back here into SharePoint. Let's open this thing up, and how about we do this after the introduction? Paste that in, and we're done with this. We can close this. My instructions my documentation just got better, and it took me very little time. It took more time to set up this agent than it did to actually create the image. But now that the agent is there, I can use this all the time for all of my stuff to just start really making things look great. And then it's asking me, it's asking for other things, like maybe adding in some swim lanes, adding in numbered steps, call outs, or annotations. It's going to continue to work with you and suggest things that maybe you haven't thought of yet, because this agent is your creative advisor essentially with this. It'll handle the image creation, but also all of just the creative brain that you might need. Maybe you're like me, you don't have much of a creative side. This is really, really powerful stuff, and I'm going to continue to show off a lot more things. But here's that one thing that we did in our agent that people typically would say, oh, you've got to use Copilot Studio, the full-blown Copilot Studio to do. We told it, I'll just scroll up. Actually, I'll go back into the instructions. We told it to follow a sequence, to execute steps in order while it was doing its job. We did that with simple instructions right here. This section right here told it, here's the steps you need to follow. In Copilot Studio, people would typically say, oh, you've got to build out a topic and you've got to have all this rigid structure here. We did this with instructions, and this would work in Copilot Studio as instructions as well. But all it took was just coming up with the sequence of operations. Now, this is very simple. We didn't have to use like numbered steps necessarily in our instructions. But this shows you just how much power you have with agent instructions and the things you can get your agents to do. If you want to learn more about agents and see how they can transform your business, just get in contact with me. I'd love to chat with you about what we can do. And if you want to see other great Copilot agent videos, then just click or tap the screen and I'll see you over there.